Welcome everyone to Rivals Fight Night number 8. 8 already. I am your host, Hexagrams. I will be joined momentarily by your casters, Jake Lion, Andrew, Zed Protoss, Rush. There they are. They're with us. Thanks everyone for joining us. I am not Puckett, very obviously, which will become more apparent throughout the day, trust me very much. I'm choice number, I think 4 or 5th on the list for host, but I'm what you're stuck with, so thanks for tuning in with us. It doesn't really matter who I am. It matters who these guys are. More importantly, it matters the teams that we got tonight. Guys, Fight Night number 8 for Rivals. What do you think? Where are we at?
I mean, 2 fresh teams in EU. We're going to see who gets the chance to take on VP in the money match. Not a particularly enviable spot to be, but somebody eventually has got to make a crack in that armor.
Yeah, and in EU right now, we kind of went through a lot of the teams that had good performances in MRC, and we had to put our ear to the ground, listen to the scrimbucks, and figure out who's actually being competitive. And we feel pretty confident about our challenging teams here tonight, and I'm excited to see what comes about, because also this is week number 2 on season 2 here in Rivals Competitive Esports. And the reality is that we saw glances of what teams wanted to do in the new season meta-wise, but as Jake, something you can attest to going forward, there's definitely a big difference just one extra week as players get comfortable.
Yeah, I mean, this early on in a game like Rivals, especially with the new season and all the balance changes, I feel like there's always going to be a ton of competitive turnover. And so while orgs may have signed some really strong teams for now, I feel like there's always going to be those up and comers, especially in that first year of the game being out, where people make their way out of the woodwork. And I think it's great that we here on Rivals Fight Night can give a platform to those players, and let's see what they can do. Can they compete with the best of the best? And honestly, even if it's not necessarily about winning here, beating VP is such a tall ask. However, just to put on a good performance here is a real statement to the community, to the sponsors, to everyone in the competitive scene, that you're a team that's here to say that's seriously competitive here in Marvel Rivals.
It's an interesting time in the nascent development of the competitive scene for Marvel Rivals, because even if you look at our first matchup, we've got an enormous organization with a very large bankroll in Qadsiah, right? And they're playing Patapim. I'm going to do that all night, by the way. Tune in just for that. Which I believe is just an AI-generated nonsense. I'm way too old for it. I had to Google it. I went to Know Your Meme. I figured it out. But I guess it's a mix of players that we've seen before, whereas Qadsiah, players that I've heard of, haven't seen them play a lot. So that's going to be kind of an establishing thing. Like, hey, we just got signed to this org. It's brand new, trying to get themselves going and make sure that the org is happy with their performance. And then you've got players from, I believe it's a mix of OG and Royal Beamers, who came together trying to put together super teams, which often is the case early in a competitive thing as well. They're trying to get signed by an org as well going forward. And then, I don't know, at this point, take a map off Virtus Pro. Only team been able to do that is Luminosity. Where's Luminosity now? We'll talk about that a little bit later. And then, of course, in NA, tried and true, 100 Thieves, Sentinels, everyone's tuning in for that. But then, let's not overlook Shikigami. Shikigami's been dropping fools. They're our 2-time champs.
I think we got a very stacked day today, Hex. I am actually really curious to see, I think you're exactly right hitting on that super team concept. I think that's the key for these teams early on, is there's going to be a ton of churn in the rosters, but the cream rises to the top. The best players on each team join together with the other best players. Who's the most dedicated? Who's the most committed to grinding and hitting those top ranks? Those are the players you want on your squad if you want to take down established veterans like those on the VP squad.
Yeah, it's sort of the shakeups you're going to see early on, but realistically speaking, you wonder, okay, who's going to be good in EU? Well, Luminosity, the reality is that, EU was a little bit in flux. We invited Luminosity, many weeks in a row. They were often seen as the number 2 team in EU, but the other team that had really good performance in MRC was OG. And, effectively, this is probably a good segue, Hex, the bring into the rosters. But, look, I'm excited to see some of these OG guys back in action.
Yeah, before we do that, let's head into the new team on the block here. I kind of, reached out to a couple people, like, what do you know about these guys? I'm not going to name names. Avast didn't know anything about them. So we're going to learn a lot today as we go forward. He's not on this region. Doesn't matter. He's probably not even watching. But Qadsiah, or as I will call them going forth, AQ up now, of some names they've heard of a little bit here and there. I haven't really seen them play, a nice mix of players, but I love stuff like this, honestly, where I get to jump in and be like, look, guys, I don't know a ton about it. Let's learn together. Let's find out what these teams have together.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a team that, like a lot of these early teams come out of ranked, right? Like come out of like who are the top players who are grinding the ranked ladder. And I mean, that's sort of the beauty of modern esports, that every game now launches with like a full competitive ladder. You can see where you stack up. It also allows the best players in the world to find one another and to build these teams, growing out of nothing into, maybe they'll become a household name, maybe they'll fall into the dust. And that's what we have to see if they can make their name here today.
Let's take a look at the other side of the roster. The other matchup here is going to be Patapim or BRBR Patapim, depending on how I feel at the moment is how I'm going to pronounce it. ZP, these are names that we do know, and actually, a nice little crossover from OG and from Royal Beamers is Ken on this squad, maybe the guy who brought them all together.
Yeah, that's often how it goes, right? Where you have one player, it's just, things are shaking up where, I don't know what the circumstances went with OG, but OG is retooling their roster. I don't believe they're out of the scene, but, effectively going in a different direction. But you have players that are looking to play, and, Royal Beamers, Ken goes over, is like, hey, raise his hand, can go over and play. And before you know it, suddenly you got this team that's basically a mix of Royal Beamers and the old OG players, where it's also worth noting here, for those that math, there's not many of them, but for those that do, you do see 7 players on the screen. And when I was getting the roster from King Beam listed himself as a sub, but I think King Beam may be playing in some of these maps, so it's kind of more roster versatility that you're looking at here.
Yeah, Polly and Pokey were the ones coming over from OG specifically, or no, actually, excuse me, from Royal Beamers. Then, it's kind of obvious King Beam came from Royal Beamers. I kind of put that one together. The players that they're replacing, or I guess if you think the OG roster is replacing, is, Sniz and Etsu, so they're floating out there. I wouldn't be surprised to see them on a pickup team gracing the stage of Rivals Fight Night once again as we go forth. Those are the teams set up here that we haven't seen play yet in Rivals at all. Rivals Fight Night specifically. I'm sure they played Rivals. I think if we can have it while we're waiting for the lobby to get set up, yes, we are always working to get lobbies and getting games. I know you don't want to hear my voice. Trust me, I have to hear my voice. I'm not thrilled about it. If we have the history, we can pop that up. But, I think it's unfair for me to do it, which means I'm the host. I'm going to do it anyway. Do you guys have any predictions of what we might see from these teams? Early, who might be stronger? Here's the Fight Night history. Look, I don't even know why I called for it. It's Virtus Pros won everything. LG's taken a couple maps, but it's pretty much been a lot of orange, a lot of blue on this thing overall.
So I can speak a little bit confidently to that, and by confidently I mean Scrimbucks, which, realistically speaking, if you were to talk to 100 teams about who has won versus each other in scrims, they would all claim that they all won in scrims. So, it's a little bit back and forth, but, trying to get objective opinions on this, I've heard that both of these teams have had decent showings against VP in scrims, not entirely one-sided. So these teams both came really highly recommended as teams that could be competitive here today, not only against each other, but whoever wins may be able to give VP a fight. That is the hope. I've also heard that story before, and VP has just mercilessly crushed those that have come on in. The closest we have seen is Luminosity, but even when LG's been close, they had the battle for just a crumb of a map.
Jake, let me ask you this, as someone who's been into scrims and been a pro player, obviously, for many, many years, amongst your many talents, and I know you're picking up, 4 languages now that we speak about it. I hate that for you because I'm jealous, but what does Scrimbucks really mean in this scenario? I'm a person who's never really put stock in Scrimbucks because I've been a tournament organizer for 7 years and everyone tries to sell me their Scrimbucks, so I've always been weary of them. What does Scrimbucks really mean in this situation?
I think as a professional player, you have to take Scrimbucks pretty seriously, right? If a team is winning scrims, it's like, well, why won't they win in a match? And I do think there is such a big X factor in esports, which is like, how do you perform on match day? There's so much strategic variance in the game. Are you going to change it up on match day? Are you going to be more prepared for an opponent that, okay, they put up a good showing against you in scrims. Now you really review them. You look at what they're doing and you attack it strategically. Maybe you're going to dominate them when you go back into that next map if they haven't continued to grow. So there's obviously a lot of variance, and the scrim isn't going to tell you the whole story, but it does mean that in like a raw firepower sense, you're not completely overmatched. If you're just getting crushed in deathmatch and your players just can't hang on the server, you aren't ever going to win a scrim. So it means that you at least have the bare basics, the fundamentals to be competitive against a strong team, which honestly is really important in esports. Like, you could have a great strategy and really well crafted, but if your mechanics are not there, if you just can't hit your shots in the clutch, then yeah, a strong team is going to just roll over you and it won't be close or competitive. I will say, like, there's all these extenuating factors when we get into the real match. We'll have to see if they can continue to deliver, but I put some stock in scrimbucks. If you can win scrims, you can win the match. Will you win the match? Of course, you got to play it to find out.
I think I put more stock at those mid and lower level teams as their scrimbucks if they're beating some of the top teams, because I think I've been told by a couple players, and maybe this isn't true, when you're really at the top, you're not really scrimming to win. You're scrimming to like try new stuff out and figure out if you can pull it off. So yeah, you might grab a game off a team that's way better than you because they're just trying a new comp because they don't care if they beat you in a scrim. Anyway, here we are into the ban phase of the game. If you haven't tuned in a couple weeks, there's more bans and more protects. We've gone from 3 to 5, a whole new wrinkle in the game.
That's right, and it really has changed kind of how you approach the ban protect phase. And I mean, for some teams, like Shikigami, that like going in and taking away every strategist, you can ban 3 strategists a game over and in, right? Like, you can really narrow the scope of gameplay. But as I'm looking at here, some things don't change, where sometimes you decide, you know what, we're just gonna take down the Wolverine early, and we'll have team names up here in a second, but it'll be interesting to see the identity that comes out here, because teams, especially only 2 weeks into a new season, things really do change up.
I think one thing that we have noticed a bit this season with the balance changes is that people have been playing a bit of a faster paced style overall, a little bit more dive, a little bit more high mobility aggression. And so it's interesting to see these first 2 bans coming out, the Wolverine, the Psylocke, 2 of the better characters in playing those higher tempo, really aggressive styles. But at the same time, now the 2 protects are the Groot and the Magneto. So maybe both teams kind of happy to slow things down and play a bit more of a pokey game. We often see these heroes comboed together. It's kind of like both teams are sort of banning in the same direction right now.
Over the last couple of weeks, I mean, Groot has been almost a must pick. Magneto, I mean, I'm thinking about Shikigami, and this is like their 2 best tank heroes, and they run it almost 100% of the time. So when teams aren't running the dive kind of things, and maybe a Thing and a Venom, which Virtus Pro has messed around a little bit with, because Virtus Pro can kind of do whatever, it does seem like these are the top tier tanks in a more like, if you're going to play standard, then you're picking Groots, you're picking Magnetos.
Yeah, both teams also ignoring strategists so far, which is pretty surprising. We have seen strategists historically been very preferenced as far as the ban and pick meta goes.
So we're working on the graphics. Well, here's that Berber Patapim is on the right-hand side, and that's Qadsiah on the left. Just to give you an idea of like who is banning what. And some of the info I did get while I'm listening to the Scrimbucks is that EU, this is actually interesting because EU, for a lot of meta, was actually banning Groot pretty heavily. So the fact that Groot is protected here actually puts us in a little bit of a different form of EU, because apparently for last week, there was a lot of like Captain America Jeff dive that was going on in the EU scene.
The Jeff protect. Okay, hold up.
Yeah, no, this is legit. This is not fake. This is actually like EU has been infected with DPS Jeff flanking and being a terror. And oftentimes it is paired with Captain America, who, by the way, is still not banned.
I played against a DPS Jeff in one of my games, and it was heinously annoying, like to constantly turn around and he just kites away 24/7. You really have to be disciplined and like turn and ignore him as soon as he backs off. And I think that threat, especially if you're comboing that with like a coordinated dive, I think that's actually pretty real. Curious to see how some of the strongest players in the world match up against it. But it seems like Berber Patapim want to bring out the Jeff. I mean, they are protecting it. We have seen occasionally teams use protects and not end up deploying the hero, but I'm sort of excited if we do get a bit of Cap and Jeff, that the meta has really changed from the previous season.
Speaking of heinously annoying, Loki has been banned as well late, and Loki has been a pretty consistent ban because teams just don't want to waste ammo on dupes or like get the great ultimates copied. We've seen inklings of Jeff come out in the last couple of weeks. It hasn't always worked great. It has been something, but you could see teams were definitely trying to make it work. Nice thing is, you lose both supports, Jeff can still do some of that, stop flanking, come heal us. We're gonna go to Hell's Heaven first. ZP, is there anything very notable about this map and the compositions that we should look out for as we head into it?
I mean, Hell's Heaven, it's kind of interesting because, it's definitely a map in the past where, like, you've had room to work with for things like Hella, more on the range side, but it's also a map where, obviously, you have a few stages where things continually change in terrain. And more than anything else, it's, I think, a map where, even more so than the Norman domination, there's a huge benefit to being the team that gets first control of the point, just because recontesting is such a huge pain. But we're getting on into it here. And, the fact that Tanuki is playing here, Jake, it kind of makes sense that we're seeing the Jeff come on out, and he's doing it again.
Yeah, let's see how Qadsiah ends up dealing with this. They're going to be running a different comp, a pretty high mobility comp here, and with no Hela on the server, it could be hard to deal with. That being said, Berber Patapim, it is going to be that Captain America Jeff dive. See if they can deal with Helis, though. This Human Torch can get a lot of value from the sky.
Yeah, I mean, Human Torch looked absolutely incredible last week in Rivals Fight Night, and already a little bit of fire in the sky. Pokey gonna go on down. Helis looking good, getting the Force Armor up from the team up. And Berber Patapim maybe getting forced back in a hurry. But, interesting thing in terms of early contest here. While Captain America's still up, he'll be up for a while, but Tanuki, nothing evasive about that Jeff there.
Yeah, and Milkboy with another on the Magneto. Still fighting it out on the point. Both teams dropping some numbers here, but both teams also sticking it out, not committing, not dying just yet. If Groot goes down, though, that'll be a big trouble for Berber Patapim. They're trying to pump him with heals, but that forces them back off the point for a moment.
Yeah, it's a little bit back and forth, and again, this is the power when you run Captain America, is that even in a losing fight, you can still be around for a long period of time, but we do have strategy assaults coming on up. Take a look at Ken, has the invisible boundary good to go. Invisible boundary going to be used first by Qadsiah, but they also lose Maluki immediately. The Strangling Prison comes on in, and now, overall, balance of power going a little bit more towards Berber Patapim here as they're cleaning up the rest.
Yeah, they're able to clutch it out. That Captain America, the Jeff, staying alive throughout the whole fight. And they do have that cap ult, which I'm really interested to see how they play around that, giving such a big AoE buff, allowing you to dive the backline. Of course, you do have that Luna Snow ult to worry about, but man, look at the Jeff right now. This is just so annoying. It's slowing you on the walk. He's taking kind of a risk being that deep, but Jeff is just so hard to deal with. And Helis way out in front of the team, heavily punished there by Berber Patapim.
And again, this is a comp where you can actually just contest people repeatedly as they try to move in. But again, we're going to see the prison come on out and no fall through, actually, as Jeff decides it's lunchtime, goes on in, drops it. Got one. Just
He's not taking him off the map. Doesn't need to. Thinks he can get the follow-up without. Invisible Woman does get cleaned up, though, by the Groot wall. She's trying to slip back to her team, but she got killed by the Strangling Thorns. That's so painful.
I think Puckett maybe tuned in, even though Puckett wasn't able to cast here today, is probably just kicking himself that the week he's out is the Jeff week right now, Jake.
This is legend, actually. I hope they win with this strat and we get a Jeff meta. That would be too crazy, considering Jeff was the most unpickable hero in the last few weeks. Now he's being properly played. Pokey on the Human Torch here, laying down heavy, covering fire. Now Qadsiah can't even really come to the choke safely. I mean, they're constantly turned around, looking at the backline.
Here we go. Taking a look here at Helis, trying to make a little bit room here on the Torch. Supernova up and ready to go. Alex, though, gonna fall pretty early into the fight. So, Qadsiah working with a little bit of edge, but Pokey over and in for Berber Patapim, taking down the back of Qadsiah. See if this is enough to get a flip.
I mean, Human Torch getting so much here. Has looking really solid in this game. I mean, we've seen that this character can really do a ton of damage output, but very accuracy dependent, very aim reliant. And I think the fact that, honestly, this Jeff and Cap are constantly harassing. I mean, they're at the enemy spawn door. This is ridiculous. But then that's creating so much space for the Human Torch to get in there and deal damage.
They're able to touch, they get the portal out, so last opportunity now to hop on over to the point for Qadsiah. Meanwhile, invisible boundary going to be dropped here. Polly, meanwhile, Captain America in on the point, has ult still up and around. So this is going to be a long attempt at the flip here, Jake, even if it goes Qadsiah's way. Cap, and over to back inside. Berber Patapim still looking awfully healthy. And they lose Helis pretty early on. Fate of Both Worlds going to be popped here by Lindstorm as Qadsiah tries to make it happen. But Jeff picks up 3, and he goes. Tanuki puts an end to that.
It's so good in these overtime scenarios. You can't get off the point, especially with the death pit right there. So well executed by Berber Patapim. And this may be a quick one, ZP. I mean, they're making mincemeat of Qadsiah right now. Spawn camping with Jeff and Captain America. I'm scared to queue ranked after watching this. Is this going to be in my rank games?
It might be, or at least if you go to EU. From what I understand, and again, I was going deeper into the script bucks this week, is that NA usually doesn't do this because NA is just all Groot all the time. Although this is like a Groot and playing Jeff, so it is like a little bit different than the expectation. But this came about in situations with no Groot, where you would get this Captain America Jeff dive. And to my understanding, one of the only teams that's been doing it in NA has been FlyQuest, and FlyQuest is not playing this week. But who knows? I mean, 100 Thieves may have been working on a little bit of retooling in their off time since the last time we saw them on Rivals Fight Night. So I don't know quite how far the Jeff has spread, but for NA, it's mostly been FlyQuest, what I understand.
I mean, Rivals Fight Night is kind of an opportunity to start that kind of a spread, right? And I think both Sentinels and 100 Thieves have been teams that have been really keen on innovating and playing new strategies. So I think the way that they approach the game is something I'm definitely going to be watching for once we get into that NA start. But still here on EU, it's just one round. Qadsiah, they go over to the Winter Soldier, maybe looking to CC and deal with that Jeff. We'll see how Tanuki deals with this. And I mean, they're just attacking him. Captain America right to the back line. No one's even looking at the Jeff.
Yeah, and I mean, that actually is a real thing, right? Is that if you're putting your attention on the Captain America, do you really have time to try and go Jeff hunting? It's more difficult. Meanwhile, Pokey able to bring in the ult from the last round. Supernova up, creating all sorts of space here on the point, and Milk Boy just burned on down. You got weeds behind you, or the forest behind you, and the fire in front. Nowhere to go.
Yeah, and this Human Torch ult just does so much damage. These grouped up players comboed there a bit with the Groot, catching players in with the wall. Once again, Cap holding the spawn door. And I mean, the fact that you can play this aggressive from Berber Patapim and that they're not being punished is just psychologically pretty rough to be getting attacked in the spawn like this, constantly looking at the Jeff. This is such a distraction. It's like a tax on your focus here in the game.
Yeah, I mean, who knew that freedom would be delivered with the aid of a shark right now, where it's just like, it is probably one of the most annoying dive comps I have ever seen, because it's not immediately killing you, but it still demands your attention, and neither Cap nor Jeff are actually all that easy to lock down. And by the way, I got news for you here, Jake. Jeff, he's hungry. He's ready to go to the buffet. Instead, though, might hold off a little bit fasting. There's a strangling prison going to be used. 2 down already, and, you know, Lindstrom kind of throws that fate of both worlds into the wind.
Yeah, with 3 players dead, it seems pretty hard to get value off of this. Maybe it's just going to be a reset here for Qadsiah. They head towards the edge of the map. Luna just delaying herself all she can do, and Berber Patapim are just destroying. I mean, this is not close. They still hold on to 5 major ultimates. As you mentioned, that Jeff ultimate, I mean, he could save that for the overtime when it's really more difficult to deal with. I feel like Tilt on this Winter Soldier has to be the one to find the hook on the Jeff and burst him, knock him out of that shark state, but I don't know. I mean, so far, like, he's been the one getting harassed. Cap is taking all the aggro.
Oh, no. Oh, my word. Direct hit after direct hit. That is a completely deleted invisible one. Maluki out of the fight early. Berber Patapim going to use the invisible boundary. Crack an impact here from Tilt, but the follow through doesn't necessarily look good as Jeff going for a little bit of snack time once more. And Qadsiah just getting Jeffed all the way through. The Jeff is real, and the dominance even more so. Berber Patapim take map 1.
They don't just take it, ZP. They snatch it out of Qadsiah's hands and slap him away. I have a feeling we may see Jeff and or Captain America fans in the next map. I mean, there's no way Qadsiah want to play against that again. That was so dirty.
And yeah, especially... Sorry, ZP, just cut you off. If they'd done the scouting on OG like I did, I put my good 5 minutes into scouting. Tanuki has played the Jeff before, like a bunch of times. They've tried this before, and so he finally gets the Street Shark going, gets all the damage done. And ZP, it's kind of just old school hero shooter stuff. Make them defend more than one angle, and who's better at that right now than Jeff?
Not a whole lot of people, especially when characters like Hela are out of the mix, right? Where, although, I mean, the worst part about that is that Qadsiah were the ones that took the Hela away when you take a look at it here. So, you know, that's one of the characters that could actually, like, reasonably kill the Jeff while he's shark moding around, as Jeff would say. So, or not Jeff, as Jake would say. It's too many J names.
I mean, is he swimming? What does he do? He's in the ground. It's. I guess try not to think about it too much.
I think we have a tremor situation, really. So, you know, that Ocean Underground, if you haven't seen that classic, go with it. Yeah, it was kind of odd that the Hela got banned out, because again, I'm looking at OG's history when I talk about Patapim, because it's mostly OG, and I think that's the easiest way to look at it. But they banned hell out most of the time. Last couple times they played it all. I mean, it's weeks ago in different patch, but we work with the information that we have, and they're also a team that's just fine running a single duelist. I mean, I guess Jeff is serving the role as the duelist there. Almost shades of like an Echo Tracer kind of thing, of the sky and the ground and the dive going there. But Jake, you mentioned that or I think ZP might have, but the ban has to be one of the two components of that dive composition coming up, right?
You would think the way this map went, you just like, there's no shot. If I was on Qadsiah, I would be like, bro, we are first two banning them, make them protect one. I am curious if the cap even really works without the Jeff, because I think, yes, Jeff is functioning as a duelist most of the time, but the fact that you can single and target heal Cap when he needs it, when he's super deep on the flank, I think is a huge part of why this comp is so annoying, that Jeff is incredibly hard to kill, Cap is tanky and can delay his death for a long time, and then Jeff starts pumping these heals. It's like such a game changer, the fact that you have basically a pocket healer on Cap. You're getting like all the support you would need, and Jeff, meanwhile, doesn't have to perma heal. That's not what he's really good at. So I think if you take maybe just the Jeff away, it might be enough to break this comp.
Also, the interesting thing for me when you look at Jeff's impact, when you look at ults, is the idea that, like, by strategist standards, the ult isn't that great for what you'd want from a strategist, but by duelist standards, the Jeff ult is actually pretty devastating, especially on points like that, where you have easy access to a ledge for, Jeff to quite literally take one for the team, which is what you expect with that ultimate. So it's kind of interesting the value you get from Jeff in more of the duelist role, or the stereotypical duelist role.
It's funny how the games do evolve like that sometimes, and I've seen this in several games before. Of like, you put a hero in a category, and it's like, well, you devs can call him that, but that's not how it's going to be played. That's not how it's going to be used. And Jeff, obviously, not with the giant sustain and burst healing that some of the other strategists have, but a good enough kit to be able to add in. I love those kind of flex heroes that add that interesting dynamic of, it's not going to be normal, but it's going to work and it's going to be good. Also, you can spit people into a strange and put people in prison and get banned from the server. I've seen those videos lately as well. Don't do that. We'll ban you from the tournament as well, but probably won't have to. Really interesting early on. Was there any, upside or something that maybe that AQ can build on after, or is that a map that you just kind of forget about, Jake?
I mean, you forget about it as long as you're going to ban Jeff first for the rest of the series here. I mean, I think this one will be pretty hard for them to forget. I think they're going to be going to bed thinking about this map. Maybe not so much if they can make the comeback in the series, but honestly, Berber Patapim, there's a few details from them there that I really like to see that are for me the harbingers of an extremely strong team in the genre. When like that Magneto kill, like mid-round, where I think they were nearing like 80% cap, they like heavily stalled the Magneto. They're body blocking him with their duelists instead of killing him to delay his death so that he's not there for the final contest. I mean, I've seen a lot of strong teams just miss those like small little details that actually make a huge difference, deny an entire team fight from the opponent. But the fact that Berber Patapim is doing that, that is to me like a little small signal that shows, okay, this team's actually pretty high level and really is thinking critically about the game and is getting the most value out of every scenario, and playing the Jeff in an unconventional way. There's a lot of things to be worried about. I mean, even if Qadsiah, deal with the Jeff, I think this Berber Patapim squad has a lot of firepower from the way they're playing.
Yeah, definitely. And you never know, like, they're good players, but when you mash two teams together, is the synergy going to be there? Is the playstyle going to be there in a genre like this? Absolutely paramount that you have those things. ZP, if you're AQ, what kind of map, what map specifically maybe do you want to go to? Because I think they just need to slow it down, just get some more time in the server, right, after what just happened to them. But any guesses early on?
Well, I think going to Central Park is like probably better. Just, if nothing else, go to a map where you have less available ledges for the Jeff if you're not going to ban the Jeff outright. But, bans are coming on in here, and I believe it's still Berber Patapim on the right. They're opening up with the Wolverine ban once more. And now the question is, like, how shook are you by the Captain America Jeff? Because, by the way, I don't think you have to necessarily ban Jeff. I would guess that the target ban would probably be more onto the Captain America of the two when you're taking it out, because the Jeff is far less annoying if it's just the Jeff flanking as opposed to, the Jeff and a near immortal Captain America being healed by the Jeff.
Yeah, I think either way, probably disrupting that combo is a big problem, given that the heroes kind of have like a sort of uniquely similar playstyle. And this time, they're going to protect the Iron Fist. We have seen a little bit more Iron Fist. Has grown a bit. being a little bit more effective in this season of play. And honestly, I mean, this is interesting because a lot of teams in the past season were like perma Wolverine banners. That was like maybe one of the most popular for a team to just like hard lock their first ban. But now there's a lot of these sort of like different styles of play that you can't ban them all, right? You're going to ban the Wolverine, you're going to ban the Jeff, the Cap. I hope they ban one of the two now because I'm a little worried for them. Maybe they think, I mean, in the end, they could still ban the combo heroes, but so far, no change.
I love the intricacy of not only the bans, but the protects really mean a lot. The Iron Fist has definitely come out more in North America. 100 Thieves plays it a little bit, maybe a little preview of later where Terra's Iron Fist is going to run wilds. The ban onto the Torch. Torch was kind of a meme first released, but lately been getting a lot of plays, EP.
Yeah, and I mean, it just Torch got a lot of buffs. It's a standard hero shooter treatment where you keep buffing a character, and the players are like, we don't want to play it. And then eventually you've buffed it so much that the players, when they eventually go over to like, wait, no, this hero is incredible now. And, you know, you pass the event horizon in season 2 where people realized, okay, yeah, Torch actually pretty darn good, especially with some of the other changes that came in hero-wise to, you know, open up a little bit more space for Torch. Because, you know, you think back to, you know, the season 0, right? Original Hela and Hawkeye probably would have been given even current Torch some trouble. But, you know, overall, the climate has changed and here's where we're at. But also, you know, take a look at the protects coming in from Berber Patapim. I don't think they're necessarily going for the Jeff style setup here, especially when they open up with the Loki protect.
They have protected Loki in the past. It is a hero that they like to play. And then when I say they, again, referencing OG, which is the core of this team, rebranded as BR Patapim. Go ahead, Jake. Oh, the American.
Okay, they are going to ban the Cap. I was worried about this. Like, I really think you need to ban one of these because I think Loki actually has good synergy with the style since he is like a damage forward strategist who is happy to stop healing and start pumping damage. And I think with this Jeff comp and the Cap, you get to do that a lot on strategists because the enemy team is so distracted, having more damage in the comp overall. So the Torch is gone, which maybe is like a particularly good duelist. This does mean Hela is in the server, no Cap. So, okay, maybe you have the Hela, maybe you can deal with the Jeff. However, I do think Hela could also be strong with this comp, right? You can still be playing those annoying backline divers and have Hela looking for plays. I mean, I honestly, especially like Hela in this sort of off dive role. The rest of your team is diving, and then you're this sniper who has actually pretty great mobility, pretty great stun, an amazing ultimate for like chaotic flanking team fighting. I mean, I think Hela is like sleeper insane in dive comps, and so I honestly don't know. I mean, maybe without the Cap you can't run it, but if there's another way to play it, I'd be interested to see if Berber Patapim can show us.
Hela has been a staple. Good call, ZP. We are going to head to Central Park. Of course, sans Steve Rogers from Brooklyn doesn't get to go to Central Park. Maybe the kid from Queens, a little Spider-Man action might show up in Central Park. I'll cross my fingers and leave it to you guys. AQ versus BR Patapim. Map 2, take it away.
All right, so it is going to be a distinctly different style here. You know, Captain America is out of it, and truthfully, again, I don't even think, you know, Berber Patapim was actually trying to come in with the Jeff for this map anyway. So a little bit more traditional Marvel Rivals here, Groot on both sides, and Hela on both sides here, Jake. So we'll see how this works. Also, some Emma in play, where last week Emma was used quite heavily in both regions. You know, Season 2, again, another new wrinkle.
Yeah, and this map type, I think maybe just playing the front-to-back playstyle, both teams happy to do it. Berber Patapim, though, going to be running a third strategist instead of a second tank. So interesting wrinkle here strategically. And I mean, the Groot solo tank, we have seen this a bit in the past. Oh wait, not solo tank, rather. It's not the third. It's the second strategist, but I'm a Frost. I've been baited by the similarity to Invisible Woman.
Yeah, I mean, the icons are a little bit similar, but Pokey comes on in, finds Healus early, and the quick pickoff here from Berber. I mean, Qadsiah, they're gonna pop the goddess or god of mischief, try and keep this within the bounds. Tanuki, the gang tilt, and you know, you're down multiple for Qadsiah. Might be time to reset.
Okay, ZP, we talked about this in the Scrimbucks factor. You know that like one thing Scrimbucks do tell you is that a team has the raw deathmatching ability, and you know maybe there's some questions about other aspects of their play. Right now, Qadsiah are not getting to showcase any of the other aspects of their play. I feel like they are just getting deathmatched out of the server. They need to be shooting back a little bit stronger. To be losing that defensive fight so quickly to a pick is a really bad sign for them.
All right, so first fight. Looking pretty good here so far. And now we see Berber Patapim still moving on forward, and ult bank-wise, pretty decent also as they set up for the next fight. I can see it looking for a little bit of momentum here, but that hook onto the opposing Winter Soldier, that's a great early pick. Set up by Helis, and now you get the 6v5 advantage. You push it.
That's a nice shutdown of the momentum, but they need to turn this into a team fight victory. Berber Patapim aren't really backing off just yet. Still holding their ground, still trying to pressure Cart. Hook comes in, but Groot saves himself with his own Ironwood wall. Now the defending Groot taking a lot of pressure on Cart. Defender's looking decent for now. Ultimate deployed from the Winter Soldier, but so far not really converting.
And meanwhile, Psyox seduction in. Kraken impact though. Over and in. Tanuki. Again, the resets here. 2 down here so far. So Berber Patapim again keeping momentum on this attack, moving on forward. And the agains just don't stop. Tanuki, he's a Jeff, but also a Winter Soldier. The versatility, real nice so far.
Yeah, I mean, Jeff showing the skill, and then now here on Winter Soldier, once again, being able to combo. It's going to be a swap over to the Magneto for Qadsiah. But Berber Patapim have some very powerful ultimates to close. A Hella ultimate over the cart could be really challenging to deal with. Loki gonna have to hit a perfect copy, but Groot can't even come out. He's bursted. The cap comes in. Qadsiah are not even gonna get a defense. 5 minutes on the clock. Berber Patapim are running through this match.
Yeah, and I mean, Tanuki is looking fantastic here so far, and this has been brutality. If you had swapped the team names just the way that this was Virtus Pro on the attack, I would believe you right now. If anything, it may be looking even cleaner. This has been a really good showing so far for Berber Patapim.
See if they have what it takes to close out the map. You would think so with the way this map has been going so far, the way the series has been going, but Qadsiah have an opportunity to make a defense. This is one of the better defending positions in the game, but first they got to get out of this choke. They don't want to get free card push, but one is already down, maybe hooked in there by the enemy Winter Soldier. 2 fall. Berber Patapim, they are not stopping.
No, not at all. Milk Boy getting picked off. And again, these early picks in neutral, oftentimes before ultimates come in, are just breaking the back right now of Qadsiah. They've had very few good, even fights. And okay, you're getting staggered. You have to use the cloned Luna ult just to buy a little bit of time to get stability, to get back on out. It's not great in terms of your economy. Guess what? Tanuki has the Kraken impact. Good to go here once again. Berber Patapim fully investing. Both strategist ults going to be used here. And now, Tanuki moving on in, takes down the Loki, resets in action once more, looking for more in the back, again and again. Tanuki moving on in, and this is a incredibly fast time being set by Berber Patapim.
We might need to think about a mercy rule on Fight Night. Stop it, he's already dead. I mean, Berber Patapim, a 340 cap on this map is like world record pace. Like, they did not lose a single fight. They got picked off once or twice, but they never lost stability. They never lost map control, never reset the tempo. And Qadsiah could never stop the card, couldn't make any kind of real fight win here. They were constantly on the back foot, forcing some very defensive ult pops. Just brutal beatdown. I mean, 1 death on Tanuki. It's the one time he got hooked in, is the only death. And he's still top damage.
Let me just make an executive decision here to set it straight. There will be no mercy on Fight Night, ever.
Okay. Just brutality. Yeah, that's right. Hey, X right now is like, if I could have a time machine, I'd just go back, to the Coliseum, get rid of these safety regulations. If you get eaten by a lion, that's just good entertainment.
I'm a thumbs down emperor all the way. You get eaten.
Well, Jake, your thoughts here. I mean, obviously it was pretty mirrored, but just a difference in execution coming on in here. But if you're Qadsiah, you have to set a blazingly fast attack yourself. Anything you're looking for here on the change, and I mean, maybe they're showing a little bit.
All right, let's be honest here. Berber Patapim cleaning house right now. And honestly, what I'm more excited for is, like, this is a great sign for a showdown against VP. Like, if this was a really bruising match and with both teams playing each other super close, I'd be a little bit worried for either squad's chance to go up against Virtus Pro. Now, though, this is giving me some real hope for Berber Patapim. Maybe it's just hopium. Maybe this is, too much. But at the same time, I'm just impressed with their performance. They're firing incredibly well. The deathmatch is strong. And we'd seen OG be strong before, but this looks like a new beast.
Well, it's Berber Patapim on the defense here. Qadsiah running it with the magic here. We haven't seen a lot of magic in Rivals Fight Night here so far. We'll see if it's going to be effective. And Tanuki, again, caught early. First pick in favor of Qadsiah. Now, 6 on 5. The magic distraction, not too bad here so far. Waiting on cooldowns, moving on in is Helis. And now decides, gonna fight the Hella. Up, over, forces out the Astral Flock. And Hella, right now, desperate for help, not gonna find it. As Qadsiah now, making this offense work.
Yeah, the magic is working out. They're trying to stabilize with this Luna Snow ultimate, but they're lacking serious damage. Snuki coming back into the fight. See if he can continue to make this happen, but no, the better ult pops there from Qadsiah are overwhelming, and the magic swap pays dividends. I mean, Winter Soldier knew that was coming, right? Was ready for the flank, maybe just a little bit overconfident. The team wasn't quite ready to support. The follow-up between the magic and the Hela hitting the same target was well executed, so Qadsiah showing they still have some bite in this match.
They're got Portal. They're going to go for one contest here. Psionic Seduction online for Enzo. Enzo not popping it here just yet. Fate of Both Worlds going to be used first. Holding on, waiting for the opportunity. Here and back. Full recontest. Both teams on the point. And Psionic Seduction now going to be used. Zilla Frost tries to take an upward angle. Decent shot from it. But meanwhile, Milk Boy, Meteor M coming on in. And Qadsiah shutting down the recontest off the back of the Meteor.
Yeah, the Dark Child, the Hela ultimate over the top there. When the enemy has no strategist ults left, it's just done for. No shot. You're going to live through that level of cleave. And I mean, for Qadsiah to make this map competitive, that's exactly what they needed to do to make a very quick cap on first, open up this cart. Now Berber Patapim are in a position there. They got to get back onto this map. They got to retake control. See how they do it. Is there going to be an answer for this magic? Look, they're trying to just like clear all the angles. They know what a threat that this flank could be.
Yeah, it's a check your corners, watch out for wherever the magic may be coming. 4 minutes here for Qadsiah, a little bit slower on the attack than what we saw in the last attack, but still very workable. However, Kea, gotta get caught early, and you're down your Groot in the fight without getting resources out. You just want to try and reset here. You know, you don't want the fight to extend.
Yeah, I mean, that's the risk really of running this magic in the comp is that, okay, your front to back pressure with your Groot is going to be pretty significantly weaker. You do need to kind of play for flanking picks. Now, Copy comes in on the Luna Snow, so they're looking to pop this ult. Whoa, just got bursted. No respect to Pokey, and he punished it.
Your powers are mine, but I don't feel like dancing, and I'm just going to go back to spawn. That's what we just saw there. And with that pickoff, Alex able to move on ahead. Berber Patapim really going to solidify on the defense now. And it's taking the wind out of the sails of an attack from Qadsiah, Jake, that looked like it might have been just as quick.
Yeah, Berber Patapim digging in their heels now. They got some very strong ultimates to work with. Qadsiah doesn't have much in the bank. Maybe this Grudo can force some things out, but there's just so many layers of the defense from Berber Patapim. Right now, they're content to play front to back, but I think that's where they're the strongest. No need to get too crazy. And you see the attackers are just struggling. They're tentative to go forward. Magic being marked on the flank there. They know where she's coming from.
Both Groots ready to drop the string in prison. Berber Patapim a little bit richer, but Kea dropping the prison first. Is the fall through going to be there for Qadsiah? They take down Paul immediately. One pick here so far. Pokey going to go into the sky. Milk dropping the Meteor M. No picks from that. One up still is Qadsiah. They have Fate of Both Worlds up and ready to go. Maluki waiting in the wings. Tilt right now looking for angles here on the Hela. Double strategist all ready to go. They're going to pop the Loki version first as Tilt goes to the sky. Goddess of Death looking for pickoffs. Going to find one with the aid of Milk Boy. And the pressure for Qadsiah working out. And Maluki, they can drop the Fate of Both Worlds right after here, Jake. Make this even more secure.
Yeah, Qadsiah in a better position ultimate-wise. They can't find the picks just yet. Lakaya getting very low, but healed up by that strategist ult. Now Dark Child should just be cleaning this one up. Loki, though, that rejuvenation drum slowing things down for a moment, but Dark Child just lasts way too long. This magic's such a threat when the ultimate is online. And Berber Patapim are struggling on this defense. Now both teams setting a very strong offensive time. Qadsiah, if they can just cap with a bit of time to work with, this game is very much in contention.
All right, 3 minutes left to go. Again, a little bit slower. It will be a slower time bank no matter what, but look, if you cap with like 2 minutes left on the clock, Jake, that is plenty of time to go again as we go in the extra rounds.
Yeah, we'll see as they get to this third point. In theory, this should be a strong point for the defense. I feel like this should be a little bit harder for Magic to make the flanks work, but second point was that way too, and they found the option. Now, both teams onto this Magneto, valuing that front-to-back presence. Pokey, though, on the flank. A quick pick here would be massive, and shutting down the enemy Hela really opens the door for him to look for more kills.
Yeah, I mean, the neutral play from Berber Patapim has still been really good in the series here so far, and you get something like that before any ults are invested, and it's just time bonus is what you're getting here, Jake. You look at the clock, and that one pick from Pokey, basically about like 40 seconds off the clock.
Yeah, and walking down this front street is looking very difficult. Somebody's got to deal with this Hela, but no one is, and once again, Qadsiah's attacking. Hela goes down. And they might have to think about resetting. No, they're going to copy here, so they're going to double down into this. But so far, they haven't forced any responsive ultimates. Let's see if the Loki copy ends up going for that ulti.
I mean, Lindstrom should about to be dancing here. Tanuki tried to use the terrain to your advantage. Talk about an area where like maybe even a Jeff would work. Just as okay, Magic did not want to take that fight. Tanuki, meanwhile, Kraken Impact good to go. Might not need it here. Enzo just long range Meteor M. But it's once again Qadsiah stuck on the reset. A minute 50 left, and Jake, they've just been bogged on this point.
Yeah, and they might even lose some more players here. Regeneration Domain stabilizing things for the moment, but very expensive for Qadsiah. The time is running low, and at this point, they're facing an overtime cap here. It's especially, I mean, normally that's not the end of the world. You're gonna have another chance next round if you can cap. However, 3:40 on the clock for Berber Patapim. That's where the advantage is really gonna play. And so I think Qadsiah are feeling the pressure right now. They know they need to win this fight right here to have a genuine good shot in the map.
All right, minute 20 left here. Qadsiah against the wall. They could be able to find a good pick here. First off, don't lose anyone in the neutral. Second off, you know, play your ult effectively, but the problem is Berber Patapim coming in with a better ult bank from the go. And this staircase actually so difficult to get through cleanly. We'll see though. Looking right now for the opportunity. Over and in, here comes Kraken Impact in from Helis. Takes down one here so far. Good opening from Qadsiah. Can they follow through a little bit more? Helis gonna get frozen out. Reset though, back on the menu. Looking off to the side, trying to go in for the hell instead. Back to back, gets the reset. Over and in, Helis. The Kraken Impact's continuing to connect into Luna, into the back, as Qadsiah stays alive.
Oh, Winter Soldier traded though. That's painful. You're this close to the enemy spawn. Berber Patapim, if they can hold on for a few more seconds, they're coming up on a Luna Snow ultimate. So it's winnable. Qadsiah, they're pouring on the pressure. They're trying to finish this one off right here, right now. Groot, Frozen just barely came to touch the card in time. Is he gonna stall enough? Yes, there's the dance floor. They lost their Groot though. They need to fight very hard to make this a comeback.
I mean, losing Groot early is absolutely miserable. Lindstrom still dancing. Both fade of both worlds on both sides about to fade. Pokey, though, going to the sky, gets a Strange shield in his face for good measure. Helis swapping to the Strange as we're about to enter in the overtime. Qadsiah so close here, Jake, but maybe a little bit far at the same time. Kea, though, coming on in, able to get on the Alex. 2 down now for Berber Patapim as Qadsiah looks to extend this in the extra rounds. They just need a little bit more.
They're fighting this one out incredibly well. Here's the copy dance floor, though, continuing to stall the game out. However, I feel like it is just stall. Players are dropping like flies. Qadsiah still fighting at full strength. Very hard for you to get any kind of finished kills, especially when you've swapped to all these fast heroes just to desperation contest the cart. Spider-Man looking for something. Meteor M over the top. If this doesn't connect, surely it's a tough spot to be. Tanuki found one on the Spider-Man, though. Hold on, Qadsiah has some low players. Surely they can't get this done. Surely, yeah, and the defense just touching the cart too much with that kind of a wild comp you're coming out for the reset.
Now, unlike the system in other games, in this case, time bank wise, even if you have 0 time left on the clock, you still get a minute. So there is going to be a rather big difference, though, because it grants an even extra minute over to Berber Patapim. So they have nearly 5 minutes on their attack versus a mere 1 for Qadsiah. And what this means, Jake, going in is that if they get gummed up on first at all, it's pretty much over. They have to like hope to take first on the immediate attack and then just go for the very, very long overtime push to somehow equalize things.
Yeah, you really have to hit a crazy snowball and like win a few fights back to back to have much hope at all in this map. We'll see if they can deliver that. I'm a little worried for them though, since last time they relied on this Magic making a play on the flank, and while I think that can work again, I feel Berber Patapim it can definitely just adapt and maybe have like a second player there ready to help the Winter Soldier and deny that kind of a flank angle, or he can play out of the hella line of sight when he fights the Magic. I feel like this seems a little bit difficult to just run it back and make that same type of a play work, especially relying on the Magic to make plays.
So Berber Patapim going to be on the defense. 1 minute is the time bank for Qadsiah. Not out of it. And kind of reclaiming some momentum towards the back end of the round, but still, Jake, a pretty distinct disadvantage as the gates open.
2, 1.
Distinct indeed. 4 minutes to 4:41 is not an ideal spot. They get more time than they first had on the original attack. We'll see, though. First attack is critical for Qadsiah. They don't just need to win this fight, they need to win quite a few after it. And even the walk-up is tough. I mean, Berber Patapim is pouring on the pressure, even as you just try to approach this point.
The thing that's a little bit rough too for the Magic players, you don't have the time to set up an intricate Magic flank. You just kind of have to, go a little bit more direct, and that may hurt the actual effectiveness of the Magic getting this done. Also, the counter poke from Pokey is unreal, nearly picking off tilt early on, but death is approaching. That's the Magic here in the back, but look, the Winter Soldier this time looking to play a little bit of interference, pressuring the Magic, keeping the Magic far away from the Hela. 15 seconds here left. Goddess, or God of Mischief, already gonna be used here as Lindstrom starts dancing. Qadsiah still desperately looking for a pick. Both teams trying to assault around, but K and Milk Boy connect with the aid of their duelists. They are now in. 2 pickoffs here from Qadsiah and Jake. The big overtime push may be underway.
Yeah, that's exactly what they needed to do. They found the faster Loki ult, the faster Groot ult, and were able to just combo and go for kills. However, I think Berber Patapim are just wisely, you know, they don't really need to hard commit into this fight. They're going to go strange, so they probably do want to try and TP in a last recontest. I feel like Qadsiah needs to be very cautious popping ults in this scenario. But do you have the, like, what it takes to hold off? Magneto ult comes out. See if the attacker, okay, the attackers are forced to pop both Archoil and the Lunar Snow ultimate. Berber Patapim, though, they're full on committing this. They're gambling that they can make the hold. Executions need to come in, but the healing so far is good enough for the attackers.
No resets yet for Tanuki. He was looking for it. Alex, meanwhile, Fate of Both Worlds about to fade. Berber Patapim running out of steam here on the point. Tilt, Goddess of Death in the sky. Decent angle here. Gonna take down Tanuki. Looking for a little bit more, but a huge early pickoff. And this is gonna be Qadsiah getting this overtime convoy in motion, Jake. We still got more of this map yet to go.
Yeah, and that's the dream scenario. Berber Patapim gambled everything on making that hold. They used all their key ultimates. Even had to swap over to the Strange just to get back into the fight. That's so expensive, and Qadsiah have some powerful ultimates. They could really make this snowball happen. I mean, in fairness, they need to. I feel like for them, capping second is almost the minimum, given that the other team has 4 minutes on the clock, and you cannot get off the cart for even a millisecond at this point.
Look at Kaya, by the way. Kaya is in a great position, if they've been tracking out, to just go forward, get a super early Strangling Prison down, and keep Berber Patapim off the focus. The Prison comes on in. Is Falther going to be there? Right now, the answer so far has been no. As Pokey takes down Helis, stops the Magic flank, so the Prison ineffective, and the Magic down. Berber Patapim well equipped now to maybe stop this. They're going to get the Fate of Both Worlds out for Qadsiah. It's going to be stalling for a little bit, and Helis now to get back to the fight. It's Strange Portal time for Qadsiah, but right now, Jake, they're just trying to refocus here off that early pick.
Tanuki could get so much done here. So Portal on the card. Surely this is the end for the offense. Berber Patapim, massive ult bank. See what they run, a rip burst here. The attackers struggling low, under pressure. Now, big connection, 2 with the Meteor M. Tanuki just cleaning house now with the Galactic Legend.
The legend that actually lives up to the name with 4 at the very end, although I think the Meteor M did a lot to set that up. But, okay. The fact that they got first and were able to get a little bit in the second, while I think Berber Patapim is still coming in with a pretty big edge on the attack, it's winnable for Qadsiah, but they would have to have a vastly better defense, because you remember, back on the very first round, it was Qadsiah defending first, and they got speed run all the way to the end, Jake.
Yeah, 4 minutes is a long time. I feel like you need to win not just one fight on first. It might be like 2 or 3 fights on first. And that's just to even have like a good chance to win on second. So honestly, I feel like Berber Patapim should have this in the bag. They should be able to close it out. Maybe if they make mistakes, if they overcommit on some bad fights, I do worry about, like, I think all those ults they committed on the first point defense was a little questionable. I feel like they could have baited some ults and then come back in the next team fight at the start of the cart track and just dump ults and win. So that does get Qadsiah a bit more progress into second than they may have otherwise had. However, Berber Patapim, I mean, they've shown that they're shooters. Like, they can find these opening picks. If you just open up first with a quick pick and snowball from there, this is basically all over for Qadsiah.
Also, I do wonder if there's just a little bit more faith from Berber Patapim in the Hela Mirror, just in the sense that Qadsiah, the way that they were able to tilt it in their favor, no pun intended, is that they came in with the magic, right? That was a big distraction to Pokey, whereas Berber Patapim, it's like, no, we're just gonna run Hela Winter Soldier the whole way through. We're good with it.
Yeah, let's see how the attackers walk up. I think one of the advantage of attackers here is that you take a lot of spam on the walk up. That does mean you may get the first support ultimate online. So we'll see if that's, I mean, that's the way Qadsiah was able to cap so quickly on their last attack. Maybe Berber Patapim want to play the same. Lakaya playing a lot more carefully this time. Doesn't want to get picked off early, of course, being that front line. But what a hook deep, and the Magneto pulled way out of position, forcing tons of skills out of the defenders. Can the attackers capitalize?
The regen domain was really well timed, though. That was fantastic from Lindstrom, keeping Milk Boy alive. Now, God of Mischief, good to go. Likely going to be cloning Luna here once more. And we got Loki's dancing across the board right now. No picks yet. Pokey still looking. Fate of Both Worlds going to be invested here by Qadsiah and Berber Patapim alike. Dancing is beginning, but now you got to look to the Winter Soldiers. Kraken impact in here from Tanuki. Heels was looking for it, but it's Pokey with the shutdown. 2 out of it. And Berber Patapim very much on the way to taking the map. They're gonna have, Jake, over 3.5 minutes to beat where Qadsiah got their convoy to.
It's going to be a strange portal, but do you even get here in time? Like, you have players still respawning. It's a very awkward retake. Oh, hold on. Polly went down somehow instantly there. Insane burst kill. That makes this defense possible.
Yeah, I mean, you don't expect your Groot to go down like that, but now, off the portal, there is a chance to even hold off here on first. Helos, meanwhile, looking for Tanuki in turn. Fate of both worlds to be popped here by Qadsiah, all on deck. They're looking for Enzo in turn. Enzo, though, able to get healed back up, and the disengage from Berber Patapim actually really nice here, Jake, as they're back up to a full 6, but Tanuki gets caught on top. And Qadsiah, perhaps, burning a lot of time off the clock here and making this defense real formidable.
That is the dream scenario, right? Getting this retake off, somehow bursting that Groot down, and now turning it into a clutch. Attackers, I feel are gonna have to fall off this. They're gonna have to lick their wounds, come back for another attempt. It's a late death, though, onto the Magneto. That's gonna further run this clock down. So Berber Patapim, as dominant as that first map was, this one now with a real danger of slipping away from them.
Yeah, I mean, again, I still can't believe that Polly just got completely bursted from the beginning, but Qadsiah, looking at the setup here, you gotta be eyes on Kea right now, strangling prison. One good way of ending the fight before it really begins. This is gonna be landed. Both groups now strangling prison, good to go. Loki's getting ready. The dance of prison is coming on out. Is the fall through gonna be there? No, the dancing gonna be stopping a lot of the fall through. Milk Boy, good to go though, here on the medium map a little bit before Enzo. Qadsiah, do they let it fly? Tilt. Dust of Death is used and now faded. Healus, Agamotto on deck, but he's super low. Super Gang Poke doesn't feel ready to drop it here just yet. But now, gonna drop the Agamotto. He gets stunned out of it, Jake! He gets stunned out of the Agamotto, interrupted and killed. The huge interrupt prevents anything coming from that. And that is gonna be Qadsiah falling for real this time on the first point.
Yeah, there's no strange portal to make a comeback fight, and the kills are just coming way too fast anyway. Berber Patapim finally get it over the line, but still 1:30 on the clock. This is doable for the defense. They're gonna need picks. They're gonna need dominant fights. I think I'd still favor Berber Patapim. I still think they're gonna close this one out and be up 2-0, but now there's a chance for Qadsiah. They've fought well.
Man, oh man, I love the UI where you look here, you just look at Healus, it's like, oh, he got stunned and no one else got stunned? Yeah, that's not Agamotto. That just did not work out. But also, Healus not necessarily a Vanguard player, just, you know, the strange of necessity, the first one up.
It's such a hard role to play too, and I mean, honestly, Berber Patapim, they want to pour the pressure on right here. They're forward holding, super aggro. Here's the ultimate coming in. Regeneration domain stabilizing for now, but still the resets come in, and I've seen this story before. ZB, Winter Soldier with 3, a 4th from Magneto. You can hold him down for a moment with that Groot ult, but it's not enough. Berber Patapim, competitive map, but they close it out in the end, still up 2-0 in the series. Qadsiah, one more map pick standing between them and elimination from Rivals Fight Night.
Man, oh man, kind of a Tanuki fan, where if you didn't love the Jeff, what about the versatility coming in on the Winter Soldier at the end? Big Kraken impacts when they need it most. But I gotta say though, for Qadsiah, given that the start of this was so incredibly rough for them on the defense, the fact that their second defense made it competitive, it gave them a real path to victory. I mean, that's some good adjustment, Jake, from round to round.
Yeah, it was too difficult, I think, with that blistering pace that they set at the start. I mean, honestly, after that first round, I feel like Qadsiah played really well. To fight back to that point is still like an above average performance from Qadsiah, but it wasn't enough with the deficit that they were already in. I mean, Berber Patapim, I don't think I've ever seen that map capped with more than 3 minutes, let alone 3:41.
Well, the defense was made of paper mache. It was akin to, you know, a homecoming banner that the football team runs through. Absolutely no resistance happening early on there. So much so you were calling for the mercy rule. But I think we saw AQ picked it up, you know, and once they started playing more of a mirror match and it wasn't just being comped like the first map, like they had some really decent performances. The support standouts, you know, I thought Maluki played very well on the Luna. Chat agrees with me. Actually, Chat told me to say that, so I don't know.
I was gonna say, does that agree with you, or is that just getting your talking points from Fidzy? Like, what's really going on here, Hex? Like, I see the chat too. I see the underpinnings of what's going on here.
A good host uses every resource at their disposal, and Finzi being a good one as well. No, I noticed a couple of very decent ults, but what I'm saying is, after the first map was completely disgusting, right? We agree. It's like, let's forget about it. You got sharked. It happens. And then the defense, when Jake's calling for a mercy rule, was obviously like, I'm like, okay, this is going to be over pretty quick.
That was their one kill from this round. We got it on the highlight.
Once it got into more honest gameplay and mirrored and slow gameplay, AQ is putting up a decent match when it's mechanically and when everything else is even. It is it looks more even, I guess, ZP, I guess is what I'm trying to say. It's not as bad as it was. It's looking like this could turn into not a 3-0 complete stomping.
Yeah, and I also think you get vibes from what you're seeing. And the interesting thing for me is that nothing that I'm seeing here, like, hits out to me as like, oh, Qadsiah is playing bad. This feels more like Berber Patapim is completely locked in on this matchup so far. I mean, this feels like some of the cleanest rivals play we have seen from Berber Patapim overall, whether it be from the duelist line, whether it be from the strategists or the vanguards. I mean, every aspect of this Berber Patapim team has looked very good thus far.
They've got a really nice combination of the damage dealers, in my opinion. First of all, Pokey playing Hela just feels so apt. Like, you're just sitting back and poking with knives. It's awesome. It's Futurama level comedy. But then you've got Tanuki, who is playing like these great flanker heroes, and previously when we've seen him play, plays a very good Star-Lord, always annoying, but then just picks up. He's just so good on the cleanup heroes and being the unexpected. Like, here's 5 shots, and no, now I just, like, in the kill feed, Tanuki is usually 4 to 5 kills in a row. So the combination of their damage dealers is looking really, really strong right now, Jake.
Yeah, I think that the damage dealers, the duelists are crucial in that last map, but I also think the supports from Berber Patapim are really clean and really solid. I mean, to go deathless on that attack usually comes from the supports being incredibly stable. They're often the ones the enemy is targeting. They're the ones you're trying to burst down first. The fact that you're never able to get that done in that first offense is kind of why you can stabilize and continue to snowball those fights. Even when they do lose that one player, they keep map control. So really well done by the back line, I think, especially of Berber Patapim, to be so stable and so consistent in that game. We're going to Yggdrasil Path, though, for the third and what could be the final map in the series. It's another front-to-back poke map. I mean, I don't hate this for Qadsiah because, in fairness, Central Park was a lot more competitive than Hell's Heaven.
Jake, I hate it. I'm gonna step in here. Like, normally this would be, Hex, like, I'm just interjecting. I actually do hate this unless they ban the Jeff, because you think to where we saw Tanuki come.
I'm assuming they're gonna ban the Jeff Cap combo. Yeah. I'm full assuming that, because after map 1, there's no shot you let both of those heroes through again. I mean,
you don't need both, though. Like, we've seen in the past, like Tanuki back in the OG days, literally when he was team on OG, not like the old OG days. I mean, I guess it's both, but he was able to run Jeff on the path and make it work. So even without a cap, you still might see Jeff here if you do not directly go after the land shark in the bans.
Didn't they lose with the Jeff, though? I'm not fully convinced that Jeff is that good alone. I think at this level of play, you need a little more coordination to make the Jeff a significant enough threat to be worthwhile. I think, like, I've seen like the true solo DPS Jeff, and I'm not a huge believer in it, but I think it's when Jeff can be mostly dealing DPS and then actually get a bit more utility out of the healing by healing. Maybe it's not a cap. Maybe there's like an Iron Fist or a Psylocke or somebody else who can play off that in the back line. I feel like you need some kind of synergy to make I don't think the true solo Jeff flank is going to be that good. Maybe I'll be proven wrong, but from what I saw in the cap game, it looked like you need a little bit extra firepower.
I think I recall the specific moment you might be referencing, ZP. On this map, Tanuki did play Jeff and it did fail. I'll bump it up to our research department to, take a look at that. But we did have stats there for a second. I do believe they were wrong, because I think I saw Khalid.
These are the stats.
These are the stats.
Okay, I wanted to pull this one up because somebody said this in chat, and I couldn't believe it, and I just looked again. It's 93,000 heals from Ken. What the hell? That is obscene, actually.
It's pretty good.
Also, most of that just coming from, it's the Loki healing and then the Luna dancing on top of it, Look, all hail to Mr. President, as Ken.
No, but he's up 20K on the other Loki. I mean, I guess he died half as much, and 53 assists. Like, these are god stats from Loki, actually. This is unbelievable.
I see what you've done there.
Ken's definitely been a player to watch for here, and let's just leave this up a little bit. I know everyone always loves some stat screen. Stats can be deceptive, but I think when you get 20K up and you're at 93, it does tell a little bit of a story. You can use stats to say almost anything. And I'm going to use words to channel my inner Puckett and actually my old school Hex and try to just chill a little bit. Follow, like, subscribe, all that. Let me give you a brief lesson in esports economics as we get into the bans. The more our numbers go up, the more we sell those numbers to sponsors, and they give us other numbers with dollar signs in front of them, and then we give those dollar sign numbers to people, and then we put on the show and you get to watch it, and then I do it all over again. So please like, subscribe, all that. Bans are coming out. We've got team names on the screen. That's what I'm most excited about. I'm a big fan of production overall. And Wolverine Logan, the Weapon X, is going to be the first ban yet again for Patapim.
Yeah, so the beginning here, one thing we've seen from both teams that there's an identity here of stuff we don't want to play against ever. And for Qadsiah, Psylocke, and for Patapim, that is Wolverine. And yeah, the Hulk Protect, to me, this feels like, okay, are you angling more for the Namor play? Obviously, the one team up that comes to mind if you're running Hulk in the season, you go for the Gamma Monstros. But Patapim, do you do it? Do you protect Jake? Do you make the land waters safe? And no, you still really want to run Groot.
I mean, Yggdrasil Path Groot is just so insanely strong for them. I like the Namor ban, though, because I think if you don't ban that, that is, like, going to get protected, and that combo is crazy. And, like, I don't even know if you need to ban Jeff and Cap if you have the Monstro Spawn team up for Namor. I mean, I think that's just incredibly potent together. So I think this is like they were banning the Hulk to sort of accomplish the same thing before. Now they ban the Namor. They just know that if they want to leverage any kind of dive, any kind of backline flanking, you don't want to deal with the team up Namor.
One more Protect is about to come out for AQ. I think the Protects are usually much more indicative of what a team wants to run than the bans. It's been really interesting to see. I am looking forward to, hopefully we get a little Bruce, a little Hulk. Haven't seen that in quite a while. Unfortunately, won't be with the Wolverine. That is the funniest thing in the game to ever happen, Wolverine Hulk. But
hey, Hex, your promo worked. Henny, thanks for the 5 gifteds.
It always
next level. That's how we do it.
Oh, we have the best community.
The cap protect. You have
Jeff.
to ban Jeff. I feel like you got to ban Jeff now for Qadsiah. I feel like we need to see a Jeff ban. I'm scared. Yeah. Although low-key, I want to see it one more time. I don't want him to ban it.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, for entertainment value, at this point, I don't think the chat has gotten tired of seeing Jeff. So the entire viewership is very much on the anti-Jeff ban spree here. Also, Puckett, wherever he may be at the moment, watches like, don't do it. Let the Jeff live.
When this came out, everyone wanted to see Jeff, but they're like, they know that combo was egregious in game 1. They had no hope when that came on the server, especially with having a player who's already experimented with it, right? Like, that's the value of having these creative players on your squad. Like Tanuki is like, yeah, okay, some of the experiments in the previous seasons didn't work out, but now Cap gets buffed, they find the combo that works, and they're just incredibly good at it already from day 1 because they've already been experimenting, they've already been feeling out how to make that play work, and now that's forcing bans out of their opponent.
I need to do a quick interjection and say, chat, Hex is not rich. I have stayed at his apartment many times, and while it's a decent place, it is by no means a rich person's apartment.
Well, we are a grassroots organization. You're looking at pretty much everyone involved in it right now on screen, and of course our great production behind the lines. You'll see the rest of the cast here later on. We just like doing games and doing esports. We are not the nameless, faceless corporation, so do feel free to donate and sub and follow.
No, bro, I saw Hex driving his Lambo, guys. Yeah. It's all a charade.
Yeah. That Lambo is just it's a wrap that I have on my Yaris. We are grassroots. Speaking of roots, we are at the Life Tree. Yggdrasil, take it away, guys.
We are
now I want to get a Toyota Yaris wrap on my Subaru. You know what I'm saying? I want to flex one of those bad boys on the good people. Tanuki is on the Iron Fist though, so they're gonna still commit to running a heavy flanking setup along with that cabin.
Yeah, and Cap is still going to be around and in. And by the way, people saying you're running out of pocket, it's not entirely out of pocket. We got our good friends at Intel helping fund the show because, you know, as said to begin with, not rich. But take a look here. We'll see how this Cap Iron Fist dive goes. If nothing else, Jake, it is going to be a nightmare to deal with as Groot all of a sudden get a little bit of martial arts to the back as Tanuki gets to work.
Iron Fist punching the Loki clone desperate. Oh, he wins the 1v1. Incredible stuff. Clone down.
Fantastic. I mean, if he had lost, that would have been pretty embarrassing. And also an indictment of Iron Fist in general. But now Tanuki to the back line with a little bit of Cap support and immediately backs on out. You know, the art of Iron Fist, Jake, is also not only knowing when to fight, but knowing when to not fight.
Knowing when to meditate and just chill. Groot already came out on the offense, just forces now that Loki clone copy on Luna Snow. So remember, Patapim want to disengage us. They want to get some of the support ults of their own. Tanuki stays alive for the moment. Gonna just meditate out in the open, hope nobody looks at him. So far, it's working. Copy ult from Patapim as they get back into the attack.
Tanuki right now, waiting for the opportunity, going to the back line and saying, yeah, let's do a little bit of fisticuffs. Till just sits there.
Still.
Yeah, just like, it's over. It's absolutely over. And that's going to be Berber Patapim on the attack, making this flank offense work between the Captain America and the Iron Fist. And, you know, Jake, already in Season 2, we are seeing different looks at the meta in ways that, you know, maybe people did not expect from just last week.
I think the buffs on Cap have really opened up the threat to play a true dive combo, but the front to back damage is still immense, right? I mean, honestly, Loki, Luna, Snow, pretty significant damage of their own. And of course, Groot and Hela, like everybody knows, these characters are monster with how much damage they can put out. Berber Patapim showing a constant distraction here. Strangling Prison, but you're the one dying on Groot. There's no follow-up for that whatsoever. Berber Patapim on the warpath.
Yeah, Kaya just got through that prison out, but the healing and support was not there. The follow-through wasn't there. And now you're down one of your most impactful ultimates as Qadsiah, again, it feels like they have a glass jaw on defense where if they get socked particularly hard in the beginning, their ability to reset, Jake, seems very, very problematic.
Yeah, I mean, just the pace that Berber Patapim is playing on, you're getting discombobulated for Qadsiah. Can you even come out of the chokes? They have the strategist ultimates. This is the point to make their stand, but Berber Patapim are coming up on 6 ultis.
Also, Iron Fist now out from Qadsiah, but Heal is just barely able to make it over into the regen domain. Healed back up. Meanwhile, Berber Patapim, they are burning the bank. You got Pokey in the sky, you got Polly in the back. And finally, some of the bolts do hit pay dirt. They take down Lindstrom. One strategist out of the fight here so far. Qadsiah falling bit by bit, and this Goss of Death is doing awesome damage right now.
Yeah, there's way too much follow-up from Berber Patapim as they come burst through. And Qadsiah, they switch over to the mirror, but I wonder, you know, do you have the confidence to pilot it? They lost their Loki there without even getting the ultimate off. Milk Boy wasn't able to get much done there. Honestly, Berber Patapim, this is shades of that offense on the last map, it looks amazing. I think this is, for me, when they look the strongest, when they're diving your backline, they're dragging your attention away. But crucially, the follow-up is always there from Polly on this Hela, from the rest of the squad, putting in damage from range while your divers are hitting from behind.
Qadsiah desperately looking for stability. Maluki just getting pummeled, nearly falling into the backline. Still under pressure is this Luna Snow, and finally, Pokey is able to put it on down, finds the angle. Maluki gone. One strategist down early in the fight. He also able to punish Pokey. 5-on-5. Loki clone coming on in. His tilt getting caught. Polly just being a continual force. And now it's just Berber Patapim getting very beneficial trades, but the Sonic Seduction from Milk Boy maybe slowing it down a bit here, Jake.
Yeah, they lost one, but they don't even care. They're just continuing to go through despite losing players. Cap has ult if he even needs it, but it's just clean up on the cart. And Berber Patapim trying to beat their time on the previous map. Won't be able to do quite that well, but Qadsiah, I mean, you cannot let the cart be capped right now. This is devastating. You're down 2-0 in the series. This is a back-breaking spot to be, and you better believe Berber Patapim are ready to camp the spawn.
Well, they better be looking at their backline, on your left, as it were, because Avengers Assemble about to come out here. Polly, lower HP, getting ready to use the ultimate when required. Tanuki off in the sky. Meditating as another Iron Fist comes on up. That's not very meditational at all.
It's legendary focus to be meditating while somebody hits you in the face. Pokey, though, with two headshots. Both strategists down. This map is over. It's going to be Berber Patapim gliding through the opponent's defense. Has nothing to say about it. I mean, back-to-back headshot kills on your strategist. That is just GG's, man.
Pokey, the contribution that we've been seeing from Pokey in the neutral game is actually ridiculous. It is everything you want from a Hela and more, where you're just getting free fights. Before any ultimates come in, you burst someone down, you set up the 6v5, and even if you lose, even if they're able to stay in the fight, you know what it means is that your Luna is dancing away earlier, or your Loki is cloning Luna and dancing way earlier. I mean, look, anytime it's Loki Luna, there's a lot of dancing. That's just the game. But it is a little bit ridiculous how Berber Patapim is just able to keep momentum forward. And it's a combination, Jake, of not just good ult economy, but also making fights work really well before the ults even come into play.
Maluki fans in the chat, you need to channel all of your energy. Times are desperate for Qadsiah on the brink of elimination here from Rivals Fight Night. And Polly, He's got his big Captain America boot on the neck of the opposition. Let's see how the defense looks for Berber Patapim. If they can be as solid as they were on that offense, this one is going to be tough. Qadsiah just saying, all right, you know what? You win. We're taking the mirror. But do you have the confidence to pilot this comp? I don't think it's as easy as it may seem. Like, oh, just play Cap, just play Iron Fist, go on the back line. I think it takes a lot of synergy and coordination to have the follow-up from your Hela be that consistent, always be on time. So now Qadsiah have to show if they have what it takes.
All right. It's going to be Cap versus Cap. I mean, the interesting thing here is also running the Cap on the defense here. You know, obviously we're swapping sides here. Qadsiah on the attack. Pokey going to have a little bit more room to work with here on the defense. But, you know, right now this may just be the Cap meta, but also Helis setting up here on the portal, maybe swapping right back after. And that is what's going to happen. The portal remains.
Sending Hela for the solo flank. I kind of like this play, actually. I feel like Hela can do a lot from this back position, but very little support is going to be forthcoming. Has to choose her timing very, very carefully.
Yeah, they don't know where the Hela is. They have one shot. It goes for the shield.
Perfect shield from Invisible Woman.
And I don't even know if they realized the Hela was back there, or that was just like happenstance. But either way, a brutal development for Tilt, where now they know the Hela is back here, and yeah, this could be Stagger City coming on up.
Yeah, and Iron Fist now marking the flank. Hela is getting the heals from that Snowflake and wins the 1v1. So still annoying here in the backline. It's not easy for the defenders to come back and clear this flanking position. And if Hela can find one more kill, this defense could start to get awkward. Somebody's got to deal with her, but there's a ton of pressure coming in from the front line. Qadsiah, big ultimate, but Pokey somehow, why was Pokey finding the kills? He's the one in the strangling prison.
That's actually kind of ridiculous. Meanwhile, Tilt is still, you know, has a great line of sight here to the back, but the support healing has been enough to, you know, negate a lot of it. And here comes Iron Fist this time around. The kick to the face is going to be enough. Tilt back over the spawn. Won't have a Doctor Strange portal flank this next time. As Berber Patapim, if they first hold here, Jake, that is it. They are into the money match. They are versus Virtus Pro. Qadsiah, their tournament life on the line.
They have so many ways to win. And I think he saw the particle effect there. I think he knows the Iron Fist is around the corner, saw him meditating. Yeah, and they are going to come mark this Iron Fist together. Maybe a little bit too deep on that flank to go solo. But this back off on the Iron Fist, like all these little winning trades on the flank are just slowly running the clock down for the attackers. Each time they regroup is costly. Lindstrom, though, does find one at the Tanuki. Player advantage here for the attackers. They need to capitalize.
Qadsiah, they have to be clean moving on forward here. You have the 6-on-5. This is your moment to go, to get first point, to keep the dream alive here of trying to bring the series longer. They get the focus fire on the Enzo. Enzo's not able to go. Ken just a little bit late on the invisible boundary, so they're going to maintain the 6-on-5 advantage. They're going to be up in the Vanguard trade. And now let's see, can they make this going further? Ken going to drop the strangling prison. Isn't fall through going to be there. Strategy assault coming on in, but it's not enough to save Ken as Berber Patapim continue to bleed out here. Pokey, though. Goss of Death going to be used. Looking for an angle here with the Goss of Death bolts. Qadsiah, though, they drop the invisible boundary of their own. For now, looking pretty healthy, but finally, on the other end, it's Tilt with the Goss of Death landing at pay dirt. Point A, going to be going the way of Qadsiah, and they stay alive for now, Jake.
Yeah, but 3 minutes off the time bank ZP. I feel like Berber Patapim are going to be perfectly happy with this defense. They did exactly what they needed to do. They ran the clock down significantly. And now Qadsiah, only 3:30 left on the clock. They really need to pick up the pace in this middle phase of the map. But that was an expensive fight win to cap first. I mean, they had to expend everything. They had to be sure that they wouldn't just be eliminated on the spot. But Berber Patapim on no ultis, I kind of like their odds. They've been so good in these deathmatch fights.
Yeah, particularly when the economy is drained. It's been Berber Patapim that have usually been able to set the tone of battle to their advantage, and a lot of that has come from off the backs of Tanuki and Pokey. We'll see if they're able to do it again, as Ken able to defend off Helis. Helis was going in on the deep dive, and Berber Patapim, they're just able to turn around, deal with it. Enzo getting a little bit low. The healing, though, is going to be there, as you see Berber Patapim really solidifying here on the defense. And again, Jake, in an ultless fight, Berber Patapim reigns supreme.
Yeah, the deathmatching is so strong from them. I think also crucially, the follow-up is always there. Like, Helis is going in on the back line, but the rest of his team crucially isn't quite ready for the fight at that moment. You know, Hela's not in position to have follow-up damage. The cap isn't on exactly the same page, and that's really been the difference between these two teams. Beyond the deathmatch, it's the synergy, the timings that Berber Patapim have been hitting. They've been playing really well as a team together, showing some of the experience that this core has.
Enzo seizing the opportunity, drops the string in prison, drops the wall after the try and seal it off, and while they're trying to protect them, Kea goes down on the other side. However, Tanuki down 5-on-5. Still winnable here for Qadsiah. Invisible Boundary on deck. Same for Berber Patapim. Could be a lot of sightless fighting going on here in a moment. But now?
Yeah, both teams with double strategist ultimates, really a lot of options to delay, but neither team wants to be the ones to pull that trigger first. The defenders are going to be falling back a bit slowly here, trying to stall the cart as they can without overcommitting ultimates in the fight that they know they need to win.
All right, minute 43 left here for Qadsiah. In an attack they must win if they want to stay alive, and we're just going to double layer the invisible boundaries right now. No one's seeing much. Everyone's getting healed, and we're going to get Alex going in for the Luna ult on top of it. It's healing across the board here for both teams, but when the dancing stops, the Doom may be coming in right on after. Polly gonna drop the cap ult here and now into the backline. A little bit of fisticuffs here to the Invisible Woman. Tanuki, meanwhile, able to find on the Kea, and Qadsiah getting broken on down in this ult exchange.
Yeah, and the cap ult really serving as that like extra strategist ult almost, right? Creating the same sense of value of the ability to just charge in aggressively into the backline. And once the strategist ults are down, that cap ult makes a huge difference. Milkboy didn't have the same to respond with. And now Qadsiah once again reset. We've seen a lot of teams struggle at this part of the map. It's a very strong defensive position where your vanguards hold the front line down. You have a lot of sniper pressure from the off angles, and your divers can easily get on the attackers as they walk up.
45 seconds left, could be the last fight of the series. Berber Patapim looking to get in the money match to take on Virtus Pro, the dethrone our champions. Kea, though, able to take down Enzo early on. Both teams down one. Tanuki, though, getting on the strategist, arguably a more important pick off. Both the backline is dead. Tanuki able to just crush the strategist, and that is a backbreaker for Qadsiah, who now are approaching final fight.
Let's see, trade comes in though. Still potentially winnable as the attackers finding a bit of footing. Tanuki tries to meditate, but that's a tough spot. Not a very relaxing position on the map. Qadsiah time bank running down to nothing. Berber Patapim gonna regroup for what could be the final fight of the series. They want to make the hold here. They want to book their ticket to that money match and take on the EU champs, Virtus Pro. So they've got to win one more fight there.
Qadsiah looking to keep this one alive. Can they win this fight and buy a little bit more time? Tanuki, Iron Fist ult, good to go. Poking down early, tilt, taking the hell battle. That is a great start here for Qadsiah. Invisible Boundary gonna be used early in response to Tanuki. Popping ult into the backline. Tanuki, though, again, very, very low. Focus fire onto him. Quite good here so far. Kea holding on to the Strangling Prison. Looking for the opportunity to just let it fly. Same with Enzo. Could be roots on all ends. Strangling Prison gonna come out here for Enzo. The fall through is actually pretty good. They take down the point. But meanwhile, the convoy actually gets to the point.
Oh my God, the Strangling Prison off the point for the cap, and they're gonna get instantly crushed in the team fight after that. But what an amazing Strangling Prison to keep the team alive. Kaya from Qadsiah gives his team a fighting chance, but still, it's not much of a chance. It's just a sliver of hope. Berber Patapim, the fact that they're able to win the team fight after losing the cap means they're taking a very aggro forward hold here, stalling the cart extremely early on the map.
1 minute left for Qadsiah. Time not their friend once more, but they got the second. They've bought one more opportunity here, Jake. Berber Patapim, though, in a great spot here so far. Somewhat of an ultless fight to begin with. You're going to get Pokey going to the sky here, Goddess of Death. Going to force Lindstrom to start dancing. Gets the strategist ult out of Qadsiah. And now, Berber Patapim going to dance back a little bit here. Try and buy some time for strategist ults, but they lose Enzo in turn. Polly going to drop the cap ult going into the back line. It's going to be delay here, and even if this fight doesn't go the way of Berber Patapim, Jake, they're going to bring the timer down to 0.
Yeah, and cap stalling point rather with the ultimate, still a bit of value, but I feel like Berber Patapim still are going to try to play for the win here, try and make the hold at the final fight of the map. The fact that Qadsiah are able to hold on to some key ultimates there, win that fight without them, means they still have a good chance to, as you mentioned, potentially finish this one out, potentially force an overtime round.
Here we go. Final 4 seconds. Qadsiah, if they leave the convoy for a moment, it is over. Berber Patapim looking to book their ticket versus Virtus Pro right after this match. One fight is all they need to set the tone. Tanuki, right now, looking to take down a little bit of Captain America, a little bit of kicks to the back, ultimate in reserve. Polly getting a little bit low. Qadsiah, though, now they invest. They go for the Strangling Prison fall through. Not immediately there. Invisible Boundary going to be dropped right on after. Berber Patapim, a prison of their own. Both teams dropping support ults. And now they look to Tanuki right now, focusing on the front line. Both teams, though, reasonably healthy. Goddess of Death used and gone from tilt. Milkboy under pressure. Might be going down for Qadsiah. The cap first to fall. Healus getting hit all the same. Berber Patapim up 1 as they look to put this one away as Pokey gets the Hella Mirror. Bit by bit, Qadsiah is falling. Last ditch, Fate of Both Worlds coming in from Lindstrom, but I gotta tell you right now, Qadsiah there against the wall. The strange portal though, the Fate of Both Worlds, Jake, buying time for the portal to come in. One last gas for Qadsiah to try and keep this thing alive.
Pokey, a kill here, would be backbreaking for the offense, does have the ultimate, looking to get in on the flank, comboing with those divers. Finally, we see from this Hella POV how easy he has it when he's following up with their distraction into the back line, and the game, the series, the match, all ending here, ZP. Berber Patapim are gonna close it out and go on to face Virtus Pro in our money match here in Fight Night number 8. 3-0 victory over Qadsiah.
And the scary thing to me, I think, if you're a fan of Virtus Pro and you looked at this, is that this, to me, was not really an indictment of Qadsiah. I thought Qadsiah at times played very well. The fact that they were even able to bring things back as long as they did in this last round, a little bit of a testament to that. But Berber Patapim, they were doing everything right that you look for in a hero shooter as far as the fundamentals. They were winning fights in the neutral. They were timing ults the way you need to. They had big heroic moments from every role. This team looks absolutely good to go as we head into the money match after this.
Who would win? One storied esports organization with a bear as a logo, or a thrown together pickup team with AI Slop as their mascot? You shall find out at some point in time. Look, not to take away from the players, but, you know, God, get it together. Look, the team name, regardless, you can call them whatever you want. They've looked really strong. The entire team, you know, to be able to come together within the last week or so and put all the parts together, you know, when you've got a 6v6 game, all that team synergy is great. Qadsiah, which was way funnier when Avast said it, but I had to steal it anyway. You know, like, at least they started looking better, right? I always like to give a little props to the teams that were vanquished here, and maybe we'll see them a little bit down the line. Getting 3-0 isn't entirely the story, but it was pretty bad in the first, I'd say, 15 minutes of gameplay for them. We're able to come alive a little bit, but you're right. This team that has come together, they should put the fear of God into Virtus Pro and ZP. I mean, beyond Pokey and all the damage dealers, like, and we've seen also Tanuki being able to pull this out. What should be the game plan for Virtus Pro? Do they just kind of stick to their standard thing? Is there a specific player on Berber that they want to shut down?
Well, you say fear of God, and I say God has a name, and that name is Jeff the Land Shark, and that would be played by Tanuki. I think that's what you fear right now if you're Virtus Pro, who, by the way, is our match MVP, because how could it not be when you get the Jeff cap rolling on in on Hell's Heaven, and it is devastating here. And look, we got warned about this, that this was better. That's why we saw a picture like, oh my God, you know, what's going on? It's like, no. Like, this has been EU meta for the last 2 weeks, which is a lot of cap, Jeff, dive, and the only way to stop it, you gotta ban it. But Tanuki put on a masterclass of why this is not a joke. It is for real.
I'm also curious to see if the group ends up coming through. You know, VP has been a team that has avoided playing against group, has banned it a lot. I mean, they're extremely good at it, but they also have banned it out. They've been a team that's very hard to pin down as far as the comp, the strategy that they bring. So curious to see how Tanuki does against that setup, but he has shown the versatility, which is something that you need to make it competitive against VP. See if that versatility plays into this next match. I think it almost certainly will need to if they want to earn this cash on the line.
I've said it before with this team, and I mean, like, obviously it's a new team, but just looking at it, the damage dealers that they have, it's always so important that they have different pools, that they work well together. I mean, Pokey's just the kind of the constant damage, and then you've got the cleanup and the playmaker and Tanuki, and it lets you throw these curveballs at teams where you can run the Jeff, and like you can still run a very effective Star-Lord, which has been in the meta very strongly in the last several weeks. I think Star-Lord's going to be one of those heroes that's almost always going to find a spot somewhere into it. And then the Bucky play has been something that OG has always liked to play, and you can see the cleanup here. You're right. I mean, we haven't seen a team give Virtus a real challenge just yet. LG has taken 2 total maps off of them. Otherwise, Virtus Pro only didn't win the week they elected not to play because they had, I think, media obligations. Like, that's how ridiculous Virtus Pro has been in Rivals Fight Night. So look, I'm looking for a team that can at least put the fear of God in them, do something. Nothing against Virtus Pro. I love those guys. They give us our money back half the time when they just start subbing to us after we give them the prize pool. But ZP, one final point, and then let's take a breather here.
Yeah, I think here is that, when LG was challenging Virtus Pro, it was kind of one of those things of like, oh, good, they got a map, and they had to really struggle for it just to get that part here. Berber Patapim is coming in with ridiculous energy, and look, we've seen big upsets in NA where teams did not expect Shikigami to come in with the heat that they did, taking down 100 Thieves and then defending against the new supercharged Envy roster. This is a brand new lifetime in an esport. The very beginnings, there's a lot of chaos. There's shakeups coming from angles you can never expect. And in EU, that angle right now may be Berber Patapim.
I think people are always looking for the upside. It's a phrase that we always like as well. Playing with house money. We'll see if Berber Patapim goes all in against Virtus Pro after this break.